Hello, Bravo bosses, and welcome to I Take Bravo Very Seriously with me, your host, Dana. Today I'm excited to be joined by Roxanne and Chantal from the All About the Real Housewives podcast. This episode is a two-part episode with the first part on the All About the Real Housewives podcast feed, and the second part right here. Today on the agenda, we do an intro to Chantal and Roxanne, then we get into news from the Real Housewives of Potomac, VPR/The Valley, and then Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Let's get into it. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a great weekend. So, I am here with Roxanne and Chantal from All About the Real Housewives. As I mentioned in the intro, this is part two of a two-part episode. You can listen to the first part on their podcast, second part over here. But, ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell my listeners just a little bit about you and how you got into Bravo? Because I know you've been doing this like a really long time.
Oh my gosh, Dana, why don't we do that on ours? Now I'm like, yeah,
We're such an asshole.
yeah.
I'm not
Now I feel like
interesting.
shit. We didn't start off ours like that, and now I feel so bad.
Don't
Oh
be
my God, Dana.
silly. No,
Now I
I
feel
want to
bad.
know about you guys. I know one of
Yeah.
you had started like 11 years ago or 14 years ago or something
Yeah.
like that,
So
right?
Roxanne and I are 6 days apart and we're first cousins. So we're super close. But yeah, Roxanne, take it away with how you started your blog because
Yeah.
she really is the mastermind behind the podcast and everything.
I started in 2019, or sorry, 2019. No, I started in 2012 or 2011 with a website, and we opened up our website with an interview of Melissa Gorga's manager who said she was a stripper.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
and yeah, which is so crazy to think about. And then we just ended up covering all Real Housewives and like I went to a lot of the events. I would interview all because there wasn't like a lot of blogs or what there was nothing then. There was like two other websites. I remember there was like this website, I don't know if you know, it was like called like Stupid Housewives. And it was actually like
No.
pretty big though. They like shut down. And then I think reality T was a thing, but
Mhm.
that was it. And so yeah, like I met all the housewives, I interviewed all the housewives, and then I took a little bit of a step back just because I was getting married and I was like having kids. I wasn't watching as consistently. So we had Laura, who's been with us for a really long time, take over the site. But everyone kept telling us, do a podcast, do a podcast, do a podcast. I started the podcast and Chantal listened and she was like, I think I need to come on your podcast. I was like, okay. And she's like, I think we'll be better. And she did come on and everyone was like, I love your guys' vibe. I love it with you guys together. And then yeah, Chantal, like you kind of got lucky, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, no, so like I watched Housewives, but like on my own time. Like so like if I had a Sunday that I would catch up on like 7 episodes, but like I watched every single one and like I've always supported Roxanne in her blog. Like I remember like we threw her like a launch party. Like I've always been there. And Roxanne and I are very close. So I've always been through the ups and downs with her. But when I listened to her like she had like 4 podcast episodes. They were so bad because like
Yeah.
every second she would stop and then go like it's like you almost knew she was like like yelling at her kids or something or having to stop and she like lost her train of thought. I'm like you just need someone to be able to like talk back to. I'm sure you know because if you're doing it solo, it's so
Hmm.
hard to like talk.
I
So
was
Right.
really bad with it though. Like
yeah.
so I feel like you, Dana, like you can articulate yourself very well.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I feel like you speak really well. Whereas in me, I like struggle and Chantal like finish my sentences.
It's funny you say
So
that because I'm really self-conscious about the way I speak and I feel like I'm constantly stepping over my words. So maybe it's just something we all are just internally self-conscious about because I don't think that about you at all.
no, because I'm like listening to you and I'm like, oh, she's like good. Like this is
Yes, definitely.
oh, do not think that because I'm like, damn, like she's good. Like I feel like I mean, look how successful you are and you're just doing it on your own. It's very hard to do a podcast on your own. Like it
Hmm.
is very hard. So like good for you for doing that.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here. I've been listening to your podcast for a while. One of the things I love about you
Oh,
ladies is that you're biased, and I mean that in a good way. Because what I've really learned in this, industry is be yourself. Say what you feel, say what you think, because if you fake your feelings or opinions, it'll come off that way. It won't come off authentic, and then you just won't be able
yeah.
to keep your audience. But there is going to be an audience for everyone for everything, right? So
So true.
just say exactly how you feel and your audience will come. And they have, right? You have such
Yeah.
an amazing support and backing behind you guys. You have such a huge audience. And what you guys do every day on your podcast or every time you record is just say exactly what you think. And I really, really love and respect that about you guys.
Oh,
We
thank
love you
you.
so. Are we gonna be best friends, right? What is it?
We should, because we're only like a 4 hour drive away, and we'll talk about it later. But
Yeah.
let's move into some of
Yeah.
the stories that we didn't cover on
Okay.
your show. So I know you did cover this
Okay.
maybe last week, but I haven't yet. Is in Real Housewives of Potomac news, Mia keeps shaking things up, and it looks like her and Ink might have broken up. There was this post from the Shade Room that says, Ink is my best friend and is perfect in so many ways, but I've decided to focus on my children and maintaining a healthy co parenting relationship with their father. And then on New Year's Day, she posted a picture with Gordon, like cheek in cheek, saying, New Year, new beginnings, cheers to living life to the fullest. Oh, and somebody wrote, What the hell is this? And I agree with that comment because what
Yeah.
the hell? And I actually really was surprised about Ink because in my mind, she was playing him up in like a Sheena and Rob kind of way. Like, oh, he was always meant to be my person. We met so long ago, so we have found our way back to each other. He's it for me. So I am actually really surprised about this. What did you guys think?
I feel bad for Gordon. Gordon. Wait, am I saying
Gordon, Gordon.
Gordo, poor
uh,
Gordo.
Gordon? I feel bad for him. Like I feel like he's at a point in his life where he doesn't have anyone but
Mm-mm.
her, and it shows. And he's like allowing, not that she abuses him, I'm not saying that, but he's allowing like to be disrespected time and time again from her. So I feel bad for him, but I mean, like, also, like, he knew who he married type of thing. I don't like her. This ink relationship, when you hype up a relationship so much, typically when you constantly have to do that, your relationship isn't that great.
Right.
Okay. Like when you constantly talk about how great it is, it's like, no, it's not that great, or how they were like meant to be. And especially someone like her, I do feel like at sometimes with certain people, like I will believe it, but like someone like her, I'm like, you are like hyping this up.
But I was shocked too because like I feel like Gordon gave her a sense at the time of even though she helped them grow their like empire, like he gave her money in a sense of like feeling that they had a family, but then she cheated on him with Ink. So like there was this like invisible string tying like Mia and Ink together. So like you would think that this was like the final happy ending. Like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
we were finally back together. We've always kind of found each other. So I am kind of shocked, especially like how hot and heavy she was about it. Like that's why you don't do that. You're so embarrassing and I need you off my screen. Like I
I
need you and Ink and Gordon to be off because it's too
All
much.
of
It's
them,
too
I
much.
swear.
I think this has to do with Gordon though and like the co-parenting relationship. I'm sure Ink came to a point where he's like, "Look, this is too much for me," which is understandable because like with Gordon living in the same building with him having this condition and Mia continuing to sort of act like a wife to him in some ways, I can imagine that being very difficult on their relationship, especially since they have not figured out like what this is going to be long term. Like, is Gordon going to live in the same building long term? Is Ink going to move in with Mia? And then Gordon lives
Right.
down the hall. Like,
Like
how
living in
does
the
this
same building, like
go?
you couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me to have my ex live in the same building.
But
Like, I
I
appreciate her
feel like,
trying, but I don't know.
yeah, but I feel like Gordon is so like, there's no way that Ink feels any like he's like I feel like Ink would probably feel bad for him.
Well, I
And
think, yeah, I
I just
think,
mean
well, like,
more
look
the
how Mia was
insertion
saying
of
she
him. Like he's always around.
You know what
yeah,
I didn't like, and I think this is why it bothered me. Like, yeah, I feel like every woman should stand in their truth, but like she came in so hard about, all of a sudden it's kind of like with PK and Dorit a little bit, where like now she's like, oh, he's an alcoholic, and it's like, okay, we get it, but she kind of was like, now he's bipolar, and then
yeah.
he did
That's a
he
good
did X, Y,
point.
and Z. I'm paying for him. I'm paying for his apartment. That's why we're in the same building. Like you feel so she like emasculated him, whatever that word is, time and time again in every episode, and it's like
Yes.
you feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
But they've
Wait,
been
what do
together for a minute. Like they who's like their oldest kid is pretty like it's not like it's only been like a couple years.
but then this show happened.
I know the show, man. The show is such a curse.
Right. Because like Mia like thinks she's a shit now, and it's because of show. Do you like Mia, Dina?
I can't even decide what she is as a person. I listened to Ron
I
Carlos's
know.
podcast. It was a few months back, and it was just like constant tea to the point where it was just like I couldn't believe the things that she was just saying, the things that were coming out of her mouth. I can't even say that I like her because I don't know her. Because Mia be lying. Like, who are you? I'm so
Yeah.
confused by this person, right? Like, there'll be
Yeah.
moments where I feel for her and I feel like I understand her, and then she completely flips to a different person. So I don't know, but she really tries to
Yeah.
victimize herself this season. Like, whenever there's a situation where people are coming at her, she's like, Gordon's having a manic episode, as if everybody's supposed to stop what they're doing because of that, you know? So I think she does
Right.
use it as an excuse for things
Yeah.
sometimes, which is not
Yeah.
a good thing to do, to
Wait,
use your ex-husband's mental health.
The Go ahead,
yeah.
Roxanne.
Well, I was gonna say no, I was because the podcast I think you're talking about is a podcast where Mia said that her stepkid looks like her or something,
Yes,
and her
yeah.
stepkid, or not her stepkid, it was Ink's kid, and
Yes,
said like
yes.
Ink's kid, was it Ink's
Yeah.
kid? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
said like Ink's kid has like big feet and stuff, and like
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the feed,
what?
the feed. We have the same
Like
feed.
wait, what? So she really is
She's
unhinged.
you we met her at BravoCon and she
We did.
really is so like tall. Like it's just
She
like
was like, yeah, massive, just
yeah.
like big, tall. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
Was she
And I remember at the
nice?
time she was really nice. Like in person, she was very nice, but she like really like us, like we're trying to get the tea, and she's like, I have a new man. And like this was like November of 2023.
Okay.
And so at the time, that's like when she probably started dating Ink. It was just really
Yeah.
funny though. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think she's gonna come on next season though. But the one thing I will say is like I do like that her friend, it's so bad because she's part of the Housewives now. I forget her name sometimes,
Jacqueline.
but yes, okay,
Like,
exactly. She does call her out. She will say like what you're doing is wrong. Like I do like that she does.
Hmm.
I do like that she has friends that call her out because it's
Yeah.
like you're not you're not perfect here.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
you
not
need
perfect
that.
either, sweetie.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Yeah.
move on to Vanderpump Rules and the Valley News. So Lala was on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, which unfortunately was recorded like quite some time ago, and they had to do like a 5 minute call in at the end to talk about like the end of Vanderpump Rules because apparently that had happened like after the recording. But I guess one
Wow.
of the interesting pieces of tea that came out of it was the whole thing about Jessica, which is Lala's podcast partner, because people were really, really into this whole thing. They were like,
Yeah.
why did Jessica leave the podcast? Did something bad happen? Did something happen to their friendship? And I had, pretty much speculated at the time it had to do with money because we didn't know where Vanderpump Rules was going at the time. And Lala has said, you guys didn't want her on the podcast, but she was on the podcast. And now that she's not on the podcast, you guys are asking. Well, she was an employee at the end of the day. She wanted to move on and do something else. So go on, go do your life, go do whatever you want to do. And a lot of the fan feedback was, I'm sorry, this is just an employee. Was she not in the birthing room with you? Right? Like
Yeah.
they go on
Right.
vacations together to Hawaii. Like their families were close. So it's odd that she's sort of playing it up like that. And I'm curious what you guys think. And if you plan to listen to Jessica's podcast, which comes out on January the 7th.
No. No, I don't have no I don't have any interest. But was she like a co-host? Because I don't listen to Lala's either, but I would listen to Lala's, but was she a co-host or something?
Yeah,
She
I guess
was for a
eventually over
minute.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but then see that, but people do piss me off because look, she had this girl and it sounds like people complained and said, why do you have her or whatever? And then she leaves but I think we're all just nosy. We want to know, well, what ended up happening with this
Hmm.
girl?
No, we're just
And yeah,
nosy.
like, see, this is one of those things where they all need to hire some PR person because you can't, it's like what's the stuff happening on TikTok with Grace and whatever. Like you can't like act like this wasn't your like friend or she wasn't in your birthing room. Like you can't act like that stuff. This is not just an employee to you. So
Correct.
I think it's how you say things that can shut it down. And her just saying like at the end of the day, it's an employee. Like, no, that's my best friend. And it was hard. Or, she meant a lot to me. It was hard, but she wants to do something else. Like she doesn't want to just be doing like the podcast with me. She wants to whatever. So
Yeah.
I yeah.
I think people forget that sometimes just like saying the truth or coming out in front of it really just stops people from speculating or talking. And like all she should have done is like say if they did get in a fight, like we got in a fight, or like I'm no longer close with her anymore. And like this is my podcast at the end of the day, So it's like crazy. But I do think it's messed up because they were really close.
Hmm.
And like it'd be messed up if Lala was the one to have let her go and not the other way around, in my opinion. Because like you do, you become super close with the person and then you do everything they want, and then all of a sudden you're like you get told bye. But it
But
seems
if
like
this really,
she's
yeah.
going with the story that
Oh, go
she
ahead, sorry.
left, the girl
Yeah.
left. And like if she left, like why are any people complaining? Like she's the one that's gone. Has she came out and said anything? Or we're gonna find out on the podcast.
She did come out and say something way back, like initially when she had initially left, just saying, "Oh, it was so nice to meet so many fans at like BravoCon and all the tours that we went on and stuff. And if I had known people were that interested, I would have said goodbye if I had been given the opportunity." So she did use that wording, if I had been given the opportunity. I still think that this is about money at the end of the day because, I think it's very odd that they have not been pictured together since. Because if you are still friends, why wouldn't you be? Because if this is
Yeah,
just about Jessica just wanting to move on and spread her wings, why wouldn't you still be friends? And how come we haven't seen you together since? I don't know.
exactly.
Are you gonna
I-
listen like are you gonna listen to the one with Kyle?
I might just listen to like the first episode just to see what it is because I don't even know what it is right now, right? Like I
Right,
personally just
right,
we all have
yeah,
our genres of what we like to listen to. I like to listen to
yeah,
pop culture podcasts, so if it's not about that, I don't really care to listen.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious
Yeah.
to see what it is.
Yeah, I think that's also like the hard thing about doing, you have to find the right podcast co-host because, if you don't feel like an equal or whatever, like so much shit could happen. And I'm sure she probably wasn't feeling appreciated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Chantal, do you feel appreciated?
I do. Oh my God, do you hear that? I'm sorry in the background. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
do,
No,
but yeah, I feel appreciated.
that's so cute.
Rexian, your podcast, our podcast would be nothing without me. I'm just
I
kidding.
know. No, it's true. People like her way more than me. So,
No, they're
Is
like,
that,
Chantal does nothing. They're like, what does she say or do?
is that the kind of feedback you get?
Yes,
Oh,
we
that's
get both.
no,
adorable.
that's not true. A lot of people say that they relate more to Chantel. So, but you like, I'm sure like you get some great things and then you get some people who, especially if your opinion differs for them. When you have a different opinion from someone, that's it. You are their enemy. They hate you more than life and they are going to ruin you. So it's a very scary.
I
Guys,
have
this
been
podcast
told I have
definitely
been
agrees with
proven
me.
to be a known liar. Just
A
like,
known
okay.
liar. That's what they come at you
It
for.
has been proven. Yeah,
It probably was just like an opinion you have, and now they're like, you're like a known lie. Like, oh, that stuff kills me.
I love it.
It really
It's
does.
just wild. All right, well, in
Yeah.
more Vander news, Laura-Leigh. So do you guys remember Laura-Leigh from season one of Vanderpump Rules? Are you guys A1 Day One VPR people?
Yes, yes. And I actually just rewatched like
Okay.
in the summer, like season one, because I wanted to rewatch all of them, but then I got busy. I don't know what I did. So I remember Laura-Leigh. Yep.
Okay, so Laura-Leigh, such a train wreck, such an interesting enigma of a person. No one has been able to like find this girl in the past decade to track her down, to be able to get her on a
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
But then the Vanderpump Rules Party podcast get this girl on their podcast, and she actually flew across the country. So Vanderpump Rules Party podcast is in LA. Laura-Leigh lives in New York. She flew across the country to do this podcast. And it was kind of iconic just because she's never done a podcast about it. So she
Love
said
that.
that she asked out Peter at one point and he said no, which I think is
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh, that's so mean.
that's embarrassing because doesn't he
But
like
Poor
ask
Peter.
right? Well, no, poor I feel bad for her because like he asked out everyone, right? And so to be turned down by
I
Peter,
yeah,
know.
what are you saying poor Peter
Like,
for? Like,
no, I'm just
what?
saying, like, I feel like so many, like, he gets, like, we did a podcast with him and I just feel
oh, you
bad
did.
for him at all times.
Yeah,
So, like, I'm
I don't
always
know.
like, poor Peter.
Well, she said
he's
she was
a
only
little hot.
paid $500 for the first season, and everyone was pretty appalled by that. But if you think about it, she was not a cast member, right? Because like if you're a
Right.
friend
No.
of or you're a husband, you don't get paid, right?
And in
Yeah.
the first season, they
Some
probably
do.
like the main people were
They
probably
were,
getting paid like even at 1,500. Like nothing. Like Katie has came out and said, even like now,
hmm
like you guys, they would
hmm
get paid nothing, like 5,000 or something per episode.
yeah.
Like it's very small.
I think it was actually 5,000 for the season. Actually, I think Kristen Doty said it. I think she said it was 5,000 for the first season and then an extra 5,000 for the reunion. So they got 10,000 total for the
Okay.
first season, but still, Laura Lee was
Yeah.
not an actual cast member on the show. Like
Yeah.
yes, she was, she brought a lot to it, but technically was not a cast member.
Yeah.
Right, but
I think
that's
for
key. Like
anything
that.
for the first season, you're doing it for like recognition, name, a potential something. So I don't know. I feel like and no one should like demand anything for a season.
We love to make our demands. But another
Yeah.
interesting thing that came out of it was like, so her kind of thing on the show was that her and Jax would always go into the bathroom together and bang. And Lisa had caught them and was like, you guys have to stop having sex in the bathroom. She says that yes, all that happened. They were totally banging in the bathroom, but that Jax allegedly unlocked the door without telling her so that in the hopes that production would walk in on them. That's how Lisa ended up finding out about it. And she says that that led to her relapse because remember, she had like a drug problem way back
Oh
then.
my
So
God.
a lot of people in the comments were like, you can't blame that for like your relapse. I mean, I don't really know. I don't want to touch that, but like, whoa, right? The fact that we still get
I
like nuggets coming out of Vanderpump Rules of just like debauchery is just whoa.
You guys just like
Well,
how bad of a person can Jack still be? Like it's
I
like
know.
we keep hearing it. He's just such a he was so like fame hungry that he would do anything for him to become like the relevant person on on that season or on that cast.
Hmm.
And that's really sad. If like that really was the reason that she relapsed, like again, like we don't know. That's really, really, really sad in my opinion.
I
What were
know.
we gonna say, Roxanne?
I was going to say, like, he's always been consistent with who he is. So, I mean,
Great
like,
point.
also, what is wrong with like girls who would go for, like, why do we do this to ourselves? Like, why are we going for a guy who, like, has such like a stupid ass reputation, like, embarrasses women time and time again? I just don't understand that. I mean, I did a rewatch too with like Brittany and Jax when they were dating and all the shit that Jax did to her. And I'm just like, I feel like the pressure of marriage and the pressure of kids happens. And then it's like, well, I'm getting older. And it's like, no matter what, like we shouldn't settle because like, look what like Brittany's dealing with. Like, yeah, she got her kid, but it's like not the ideal situation.
Yeah. I mean, at least
It,
Laura-Leigh was probably like 22 or 23 at the time, so
Yeah.
yeah,
probably really
yeah,
young and, impressionable and, newly sober as well,
so
right? So a
true.
crazy time for her. We did get
I
word that
know.
Jack and Jasmine from the Valley are being upgraded to full-time for season two. So I'm excited about that because I feel like we didn't get to know as much about them. I don't even like know what their jobs are. And I think Zach has a boyfriend and Melissa is Jasmine's partner who we didn't get to see much of either. So I'm excited that they're like
Yeah.
being
It
bumped up.
didn't she get engaged or did I just see that?
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Like yeah, I think that would be exciting to see and see like what kind because they were in the drama a little bit. I mean, that's gonna be a lot of different cast members then because
Hmm.
Sheena and Lala are coming in. So
Right.
is anyone getting removed? Do we know?
I don't think
I don't
so.
know. No
Okay.
one's removed. I kind of liked like what we saw of them though. So I'm like interested to see how it's gonna be, if it's gonna change the dynamic. Cause I feel like the Valley is just, even though Kristen, but like Kristen was like trying to get pregnant and like it like I like that shit. Like I like seeing, and maybe because I have like little kids and stuff, I don't know. But no, actually, because when we watched New Jersey back in the day when we were so young, like we like lived for that family
Hmm.
stuff. So I just hope it doesn't change the dynamic. But who knows? Like if she's getting married, then I mean, actually, it would make sense. And then she's probably gonna want like a family, or maybe not, just seeing how their marriage is. So yeah, that will be really interesting. I liked him. I thought he was good TV
Yeah,
though.
I
It's
think
good
because
TV.
yeah, I think because they're close with Zach a little bit that like they tell him more so like he can
Hmm.
be good TV. That's why it could be more interesting that he's like now is full time and feels
Yeah.
that like respect on his name for it. But yeah, like I think it's because they have different relationships with each other. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing to be jealous about, like, oh, who's the better couple? Because now there's like no couples. Like literally
Crazy,
none.
right? It started off being a bunch of
Chantel's
couples
buzzed,
in
by the way.
No, I'm
you
not.
are?
I literally no, I've had half a glass of wine.
She's buzzed.
You're
Uh,
crazy. I'm
uh,
not a lightweight here.
well, I was gonna ask Dana, what do you think about Sheena and Lala joining the Valley?
From what I understand, Lala is not going to be on it a ton, so I'm fine with that. I was actually just talking about this earlier on a podcast where I said, like, yeah, as much as we are annoyed with Sheena, Sheena does give us TV. Like, you can't think of a single season of VPR where she didn't give us a lot of stuff. So, even though she might be annoying, I still
Yeah.
feel like she will give us entertainment. Like, I was on another podcast last week where I said, in terms of highs and lows of 2024, my low was Alexis Bellino. But now that I, rethink about that, would the season have been more boring if she wasn't annoying me on my TV, right? I'm not saying I like
Yep.
her, but her annoying me was part of the season, right? It's what gave me, you know, it gave me something to
So
fight for,
true.
something to fight against, right? I'm like, I don't like this, I like this. So I could see Sheena being an interesting part of it. And now that the show is over, meaning Vanderpump Rules, I feel like there's just like a different vibe where before we were like, no, we don't want Sheena and Lola on it. But now,
Right.
knowing that we're never going to see these characters again, I wouldn't mind a glance here or there into what everybody else is up to. It might be cool to see like season 3 or 4 of The Valley come down the pipe and they say like, "Oh, Schwartz bought a house," and we get to see that or something. Like, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I
You know, do we remember what was like Sheena's and Kristen's relationship? Were they cool? Like did they leave off cool? Because like I know she was always with like Stassi and Katie, but like I'm curious about that dynamic. I
well, I mean,
forgot
no,
what
we
they were.
saw her on the first season of the Valley. Like Sheena and Lala did make appearances.
Sheena and Kristen are good right now. There was a little bit of strife in the comments a few months back, but from what I understand, they are good right now.
Okay. Because like yeah, I'm just curious to see that because I could see them being like the ones that like have the drama with each other because they know each other. But
And it's also really cool that Nia and Kristen are going to be pregnant together.
I know
I can't believe Nia's having a fourth
I
kid too.
know.
That's
crazy, you
crazy.
guys. Like she's the best husband, but like that's crazy.
Roxanne,
Did
you
she
have
get a
three or
new
four?
house? Yeah, I have
Roxanne has
four,
You
four.
have
and it's
four.
like a shit show. So, and it
Yeah.
looked like a shit show for her too, because like she has like a smaller house too. So
Hmm.
it's like kind of, wasn't that a thing? Like, was
Well,
she
she
in
had
an apartment?
twins, so like it was like a lot too.
Yeah, like she was like everything was
Right.
so tight because you have like little babies. So I mean, but like at the end of the day, Chantal, like we were when like our parents had us and we were like in a fucking room and we were with like 10 of us, so we were
Yeah, I
fine.
shared I shared a I shared a room with my brother and my sister, so like for
Yeah.
like 10 years. So
So yeah, never mind. I guess that doesn't matter. But she did seem like very stressed, but she was also postpartum, which like that is so ballsy of her to ever film a reality show postpartum because
And so
you
quickly
you are
removed too.
you're not the same person. Like your hormones are everywhere. So um like good for her. I love her. Like I hope they don't ever get rid of her because like she's not problematic. But I like that about her. Like we need
Right.
someone like her, you know?
Yeah, it's okay that not everyone is chaos, right? I like
Right.
that
yes,
there's that one stable couple because it's sort of that couple that we look up to, that we
yeah,
idolize, and the sort of couple that if they broke up, we would die if they did, you know?
yes.
I
Like a
hope
Kyle and like Mauricio type situation. But like I hope that they're being like honest. Like I think we saw one episode of him getting annoyed, which was good for them. But like I just want them to stay honest because they seem so loving and so like sweet with each other. Like
Yeah.
even the way that they fight, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do this in my marriage because I like we're crazy.
well, we're so aggressive and are like, yeah, for sure. We definitely need a
So they're
they
like they're inspiring for sure.
yeah.
I think
No, they have a
sometimes you
really
can
good
find that
team.
on TV. Like, not everything. Like, in one aspect, I love reality TV because it takes us out of our reality. But
Yes.
sometimes I find it inspirational, or I learn
Yeah.
something from it, or I take something away from it. It's not all garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's nice. It's always nice when you feel like you can relate, you know,
Yes.
to what's going on and stuff. Like the whole Mary Cosby stuff with the son. Like we've always talked about it that we have someone in our family like that. And that was something that we could so relate to and like touched us and just the
Mhm.
way she handled it and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, and that's probably why like Salt Lake City is also very like doing very well this season. I feel like because of the Mary stuff too.
I can't wait for it to come back. Like I've missed it so much. And I really feel like I only missed that one like right now. I know Beverly Hills just came back, a little bit. So it's like I haven't been it's been a good season, but it's not like, oh my God, like we're waiting for it. I wasn't waiting for it. I don't know if you guys are, but I wasn't waiting for it. But Salt Lake
Well,
City, I've been waiting for.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
been so waiting for Salt Lake City, and I guess while we've been waiting, they have been still stirring up some drama. So I guess here's what happened, and it's sort of confusing. So a fan account posted something of Bronwyn, and then and tagged Lisa in it, and then Lisa wrote, "Hi, Bronwyn," like I guess being snarky, like, "Oh, this is obviously you," sort of thing. And
Mm.
then Bronwyn posts this whole long thing about, like, "I'm not sure why you need to do this to me today. My parents are very, very ill, and I'm going through so much stress with my whole family." Then she posts like all these text messages between her and Lisa over time, basically to show that she's constantly reaching out to Lisa and Lisa isn't giving her much back, and says something to the effect of, maybe we were never as close as I thought we were. But I think that that is starting to show through, right? Like, I am the type of person who, if I think someone's mad at me, I will ask and I will ask and I will ask. But there comes a point where I'm like, they've said no. And if I can tell in their face that they're not interested in, resolving things with me, whatever it is, if they're not speaking to me anymore, or we're not as close friends anymore, for whatever reason, if they're not willing to tell me what that is and they're not willing to make it any better, you gotta stop. Because now it's
Yeah.
just coming to this point where we're just watching her just, shut down Lisa for like every single thing. And I really like Bronwyn, but I think you need to accept a friendship for where it is at a certain point. If Lisa's not giving you what you need, okay, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
end it, right? But this is just becoming really childish. And, I just don't bring up like your sick family members in this. It's just
Right.
so, what's the word? Like, it's so much. It's so much of a reaction to such a small thing.
You kind of sound like Bronwyn.
Is that bad?
Is that supposed to be a compliment or
Oh,
not?
I mean, Bronwyn speaks very well. Like, yeah. I feel like Bronwyn is kind of spiraling, and I'm surprised
Yes.
by how she's acting for one season. I'm talking about like outside of the show. I'm really surprised. Like she's done a bunch of podcasts, like, which is fine, but I feel like she's very much one of those people who's I like her, but she's really into the social media stuff. And people like
Yes.
that scare me. They do
Yeah.
like stuff like that scare me because I'm like, how authentic are you? Like you're really into all the social media bullshit and you really want to probably create a show then. And I don't like when you want to create a show.
Yeah,
Like I like when
exactly.
it's authentic.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for me, it's a hard situation because Roxanne and I have been Lisa like fans for a while. Like when they would like gang up on her, we would have her back. And this season has been a little bit tough because I do feel like maybe she has been treating like some of her really good friends, like Angie and now Bronwyn, like really bad. And it's like maybe she is the problem. But then the other person on the other side, Bronwyn, I'm like, she gives me desperate energy. Like it'd be too
Yeah,
much. Like every single time you're mad about something. Like I put you in a different room, you're mad. I do something, you're mad. And like I keep telling you I'm not like what you said. And like that's what would annoy me. I would just get so turned off. Even if I wasn't turned off at that
exactly. Now
point,
you are.
now I am.
Right.
Now I am, and I'm
That's an
done.
exhausting friendship to have. And
Exactly.
obviously, they didn't hang out like they were obviously friends, but they didn't hang out like how they're forced to on this show.
Right.
So Lisa's probably like, holy hell, I'm seeing a different side to you. And it's intense. Like, you're very intense for me. And I feel like that's what it is with Bronwyn. Like, she's very intense. And Bronwyn was like, we've always been friends. And Lisa's like, yeah, okay, we didn't hang out like this. Like, you are just, I don't know. I feel like she is too much, but I also feel like there's so much pressure your first season to like bring it. And
Yeah.
that's what Bronwyn's kind of doing.
She is. I mean, she's given us story. She's given us
Yeah.
family. She's giving us
Hmm.
social media fights. She really
Yeah.
is giving
Yeah.
us everything. I mean, there's no way she's not coming back next season. That's not
Oh,
even a
yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And I want to see her back. It's not to the point where like, okay, she should go. She is interesting. I do like her family dynamic. I like seeing what she's bringing. And yeah, I think that she just needs to let go of the friendship she thought she had with Lisa. Like
Yeah,
it's okay. We need to move on. We do.
right.
I,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, Roxanne and Chantal, thank you so much for being here today. Please let the listeners know where they can follow you and see what you have going on.
Yes, we are on Instagram at All About TRH Podcast. And yeah, you can listen. We're available at wherever you get your podcast, just All About TRH. And yeah, make sure to listen to part one because part one was good too.
Yes.
Part one was
And all about
amazing.
You're
TRH,
better at this than me. Okay, you're way better at
Roxanne, what does all about TRH stands for? Because everyone always asks. And I feel like you always had you always had two things with it. It was all about the Real Housewives and all about the truth.
Yeah, I mean, and if I wasn't like 19 years old
Yeah.
leaving, like, I didn't think it was going to be a long-term thing. That would have never been the name, but it's become a long-term thing, and I like it's stuck. But that is very annoying that that's the name. But
You live and you learn.
exactly, I mean, I guess there's nothing I could do about it now. But yeah, we actually had so much fun with you, and
Yes.
So much fun with
we'll
you
do this
too.
again. You were amazing, so thank you for having us on.
Thank you for being here. All right, love you, BBs. See you next time. Thank you for listening to I Take Bravo Very Seriously in partnership with Hurrdat Media. You can listen to this show and any other episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch full-length video episodes on Hurrdat Entertainment's YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram at I Take Bravo Very Seriously and at The Bravo Investigator. You can follow me on TikTok at The Bravo Investigator. If you enjoy the show, please leave a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.
A Hurrdat Media Production.